In 1 month of doing these practices, cortisol went down 23% and DHEA went up 100%. These are the practices that are incorporated in the Heart Align Harmonize method, in the Heart Align meditation, where you're creating more coherence. So more coherence means more resilience
And
against
these
stress.
are short little practices. It's
So
not like
the
you're doing,
meditation is under 8 minutes,
Yeah.
and the Heart Align, the steady one is Steady in Life. These are under 1 minute, Darren. This is where the psychological becomes the physiological. You're changing the way in which your heart and your brain communicate in your nervous system, so you don't go into sympathetic nervous overdrive. You change your hormones.
Welcome to SuperLife with me, Darren Oline, a podcast where we explore, discover, and share solutions that promote a healthier life and a better world. Together, we'll ignite possibilities, inspire change, and build sovereignty, creating a roadmap towards a super life for you and for all. Get ready to start living your super life.
This one, Darren, I really feel like you say, like, what is the message I want to put out in the world?
Yeah.
I feel like it's this book. It's going to run through. It ties everything. Well, I'll save it.
I love it. Yeah, well, we're going.
All
like
right.
I love casual starts because we're just already talking and we're buddies. And we've done this before.
We are who we are on and off camera.
Yeah, exactly. We just talk and we're like the shared interest in the, and like you're saying before, the ability to for you and I to sit here and you were saying on the drive down, like how wonderful it is to have this excuse to talk with
Hang out with friends.
a tribal member, you know, who cares about the
goosebumps.
world and trying to put some good juice in the world because we need it, right? It's a strange time.
Well, I feel like, too, Darren, this work about the heart, both the science and the teachings, is really about, boom, right here, right now.
Yeah.
The heart is the center of our being.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, we're in our heads a lot, confused, overthinking, or we don't enjoy. So when I was driving here, I just felt so present to the fact that we get to have this conversation, we get to spend time together, we get to share what we think is really important. And I just felt this huge surge of gratitude and appreciation, because really is these now moments we have to enjoy. We have to wake up to our life today.
Bingo. And it's so distracting in what the world throws in our face all the time. So the practice of, and you so embody this, and which is why it's so epic to not only have this book in my hand. I know what it takes to put, you know, this stuff together, the hidden power of the 5 hearts. And it's, you know, so the fact that you put this, but you weaved it into you have the embodiment of it as I perceive you. And you have practiced that for a long time, having a regular life and family and kids and relationships and businesses and success and other books. And like you've done a lot of things, but also you woven into the science around that. And that's where I think, you know, when people can understand, not just a quotable quote to just take with them for 5 seconds that their attention is on, but to actually start to understand and understand kind of these concepts so that they can go, oh, because some part of us, the left brain, the brain that feels more real out here in this world.
Yes.
It feels that way. And it's getting pulled all the time. It's getting yanked all the time. It's being shown all the time. We're trying to control all the time and all of this, right? So to also use science in this coherent tanglement of our heart is always there. It's always involved. It's always present. And how do we then live a life that's the most fulfilling without the cutting off of.
Yeah. Well, I always have believed in this urgency, Darren, and the spanda. It's a Sanskrit word for where you feel this pull, this inspiration, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to share this. So that's always been my guiding mantra with my books. This is my eighth one in 11 years. And now with two young children, when I came across these teachings and this science a couple years ago, actually, when I was researching my last book, which we spoke about, You Are More Than You Think You Are, first of all, my first thought was, why isn't everyone talking about this? How do we not know this? And secondly, it was, I got to get this out.
Right.
So to get this book written, there was a lot of 3 a.m. mornings because I needed the space to be able to write. And the only time I could get it was before my kids would wake up, who were, 3 and 7. So there was this, whoa, right? Because we hear about the heart, but it's usually vague or sentimental, like put your heart into this. But what happened for me, Darren, was I found this book by Swami Sri Yukteswar, who is Yogananda's guru. And he's said to be a really stern man, Yogananda, who brought yoga to the West. But Swami Sri Yukteswar was said to have the love of 1,000 mothers. So he wrote this really succinct book, and I started to read it. And then I became obsessed, Darren. I started to read it for 8 months, trying to really understand what he was talking about. And in his book, he lays out these 5 states of the human heart that these are stages that we all go through to awaken the heart's power. So that the dark heart, propelled, steady, devoted, and clear, which we can talk about. So then I was learning this, and at the same time, I contacted the Heart Math Institute because I had come across some of their research, which blew me away about how the heart's another brain that has 40,000 neurons. The heart sends more messages to the brain than vice versa, all this amazing stuff. And I started to connect with them. We did a podcast exchange, and then we ended up doing a formal research study together called the Heart Aligned Meditation here in LA with 30 participants. And in 1 month, Darren, we found a 29% increase in coherence, which we can talk about in a moment, but basically that means your heart, brain, nervous system lines up. So the stages that Swami Sri Yukteswar laid out, these 5 stages from the Vedas, from thousands of years ago, lined up with the science. So the dark heart, for instance, which is when the heart and the brain don't talk, when we're feeling confused, full of fear, full of anger, means incoherence, all the way to the clear heart, which is oneness and bliss. This is called heart-brain harmony. So we can actually train ourselves to transcend, to awaken the heart's power, both physically, scientifically, energetically, and spiritually. And it changes everything.
That's amazing. I love to hear all that. So let's talk about each of those 5. So
Yes.
let's talk about that first one, the dark heart.
Yes.
What are the things that get people there, like, or cut that off? you could
Yes.
say, or not listen to the heart. Like, what are those things that get them to that state where they don't even maybe feel the heart anymore?
Yes. So, first of all, dark doesn't mean evil.
Right.
Sometimes we think dark can
Yeah.
feel like bad or there's something wrong.
Right.
Dark just means you can't see properly. So imagine if you're in a dark room and you're stumbling around and you hit your elbow into the wall and
Right.
you hurt yourself and you trip. It's because you can't see. So one of the principles about this heart work, Darren, is that as your heart awakens, metaphorically speaking, your third eye awakens, meaning you can see more clearly, you can see the world, you can see other people, you can see yourselves. So you may be in this state, and we can all go back to it at certain points, right? So it's not exactly linear. You're predominantly in one heart state, and you can, again, use these practices and these tools that I teach in the book to keep ascending. A lot of them are based in really ancient wisdom and the science, these incredible evidence-based techniques. But you may revert to these moments where you feel that dark heart, which again could be confusion. Maybe you're up in the head so much. We've all experienced this. You're thinking, should I keep dating this person? Or is this the right business partner? You're obsessive, circular thinking. The neural pathways are just going and going. And so you get yourself more confused, or you start to make yourself get into a fear cycle or a stress response.
Right.
So a lot of, in our society, we're not always taught, well, actually, we're not really taught ever. This is what blew me away. How do you connect to the heart's power? And I'll teach some really simple techniques here too, Darren, if you want. But we can just, simply by, even now while we're talking, just putting some of your attention on your heart,
Yeah.
right? I'm looking at you, I'm with you, but just some of my attention.
Even by like
touching
Push.
it,
Yeah.
but even not even touch, like just
Yeah.
feel your heart.
Yep.
The American Journal of Cardiology has published research that shows that that alone starts to rewire your nervous system
Just by putting attention.
just by putting attention. Now, remember, in the fetus, in the, when you go in for an ultrasound, I remember the first time I saw my children on there, there's a heartbeat, but the brain hasn't formed. So there's a different type of intelligence coming from the heart. So the dark heart means we're so up here that we're coming from this very linear, hurry place, like my life feels so hard, overwhelmed, holding on to anger, all these stories, all these narratives. So we want to start to awaken the power of the heart, which is calm solutions, win-win. It starts to see things from a much more expansive place. You start to feel more energy, and then that leads you to the next heart stage, which is the propelled heart.
So not giving it away completely, but
Yeah.
but if someone is guaranteed, a bunch of people are listening, going, I've been in my head. I don't know what to do next. I feel that. I feel what you're saying. What can they do right now, do you think, to start at least today
Yeah,
making
so
some shifts?
yes, exactly. We want concrete things to do. So the heart aligned meditation, the tracks are on my website, mysolluna.com. They're free for everyone to access. Less than 8 minutes, Darren. When you do this, and I can run through the steps here, you put your body, like I said, into higher coherence. So what does coherence mean? It means, when you swim across the lake and you just swim to the other side in a flow, that's when you're coherent. It means your heart and your brain are more working together. You have clarity. You're just in that flow state. Incoherence, like the dark heart, means you run into a rock, you stop a couple times to clear the fog out of your goggles, you kind of forget where you're going, you're wasting all this energy. So when you do this meditation in the morning, which is what we did with the study participants, we brought them in, we studied their HRV patterns with really sensitive equipment, we gave them the meditation tracks, we said do this 4 or 5 times a week, we brought them back in a month. Darren, their coherence went up 29%.
Wow.
What this means, and this is really powerful, this means that, so there's an electromagnetic field that's given off by your heart that's 100 times stronger than your brain. So get this, Darren, it can be measured by magnetometers, which are sensitive they're scientific instruments that basically measure magnetic fields. What does this mean? This means that when you walk into a room, people really do register your energy. They really do register your vibe. So your coherence affects your perceptions of life and the world, and it affects how people perceive you. So if you're in a really dark place, as we've all been, and I've struggled a lot in all ways, fighting relationships and financially and lots of things, this is one of the most powerful things you can do is work with your heart energy, because you start to emit a different field, which means you can see more, you can see solutions. Maybe you can find a way to, I don't know, audition for that different thing, or try this different job, or get clarity about relationship, or just try things in a different way without having to change and focus on how much your life sucks on the outside. You focus on shifting your energy, and I promise you, your life starts to change. So there's other research in this book that I showed Darren in 1 month, and that's the heart aligned meditation. There's other techniques I teach in less than 1 minute. One's called the Heart Aligned Harmonize in Life. So part of these include going to your heart, doing coherence, focused breath. So this is a type of breath work that makes your body more coherent. And then also, even right now, Darren, we can just do this really simply. Focusing on your heart, think of something that makes you feel appreciation. Okay, so just breathe into that for a moment, 3 to 10 seconds. Appreciation is a mix of gratitude, approval, awe, right? So the reason I'm bringing this up, I'll come back here, it's just like a quick moment. So I'm going to show you this graph, if you guys can see it here. Appreciation isn't just like, oh, that feels nice. This is the HRV pattern of someone in anger and someone in appreciation. You see these smooth sine waves. This starts to change your body. You're literally rewiring your nervous system. So the more we come into these meditations and these practices, what happens is you build your coherence capacity. This is your ability to be more clear, to align everything, to have better gut health, right? So this changes the way your whole body functions. So when you start to do these practices, Darren, your body literally changes, your thoughts change, and then you can start to get out of those dark moments.
Very, very simply, it's like it's like a muscle, right?
Yes.
It's like a muscle, and it'd be one thing that if I felt weak and I just sat back and complained about being weak and didn't do anything about it, and then just complained about it, and then life kept showing me how weak I was, and you didn't do anything about it, that just you stay in that victim place. But in fact, I'm saying this because, and then when you go do something, doing something to create a different state is working that muscle. So when I actually start moving, I may not be stronger immediately, but just by moving, I'm feeling better. Right?
Yes.
So that, I'm just using that as an example. That's a coherence towards I want to be stronger, and therefore I'm taking the action to do it. And in this instance, it's so seductive, Kimberly, to be worried and to complain about our life. I don't have enough money right now. I don't have the job I love right now. My relationship sucks right now. And it's so easy to collapse in on those things. And it's just reminding me, when you say that, the 8 minutes and the different shifts, that's the muscle of a different coherence, and largely it's a different vista.
Yes.
Meaning you get different kinds of information than just the rumination of the brain,
Well,
right?
exactly. So also, Darren, I want to say you could have those things. You could have all the money, you could have the job and be vastly unfulfilled.
Right.
So the
That
different
too.
vista is this. When we're up here all the time, this is what I call in the book, like the wild horse mind, right? The thoughts, right? We are the amygdala, the part of our brain that creates and reinforces these neural networks. Something happens, I remember something emotionally, so I get triggered. Ooh, traffic, duh, this person says this, I don't like that, I feel not seen or whatever. So it's just constantly going off. So we journey to a different place than where the problem is. We're getting out of the head, and in these practices, we're literally going to the heart. Now, it sounds so simple, like how could this be so profound? And yet there's, over 400 research articles published about this that no one's talking about. But this is what blew me away too, Darren. I started to dig into this, and I'm like, oh, the heart actually was central in all of these ancient cultures. The Egyptians didn't take the heart out of the mummy. They believed it was necessary in the afterlife. The Babylonians talked about the heart, the Greeks, all world religions, the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ, the Anahata Chakra in Hinduism and yoga, the Heart Sutra in Buddhism, Lev, the word for heart, all through the Torah, Kalb, the word for heart is mentioned 132 times in the Quran.
Wow.
But then in the last 150 years, as society has become more, I'll say egoic, mind-based, linear, rush, hurry, step by step, we've sort of said, oh, forget about the heart. The brain is primary. So everything now is like nootropics and brainwave training and everything.
Yeah.
But there's this, literally this superpower right here inside of us, and I'm talking physically and energetically, Darren, that is so simple and powerful to turn on, that I teach through these stages. And you don't have to buy a device. You don't have to buy an expensive biohacking thing. It's like right here. So I'm like, oh my gosh, if we all heart by heart started shifting into a heart-based reality, our world would change.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and again, and to your point, it's been going on for decades and decades and decades. We're born into this, call it this left brain, egoic kind of pursue power, try to get the happiness sorted out that way, try to control everything almost into oblivion. In the face of destruction, we still destroy. And it just seems to me that the heart and nature are always in coherence, right? It's like it's the same thing. So like if you want to get in touch with your heart, like go out in nature, like those kinds of things. And like I'm thinking, as you're saying too, it's like every morning without fail, no matter where I am, what I'm doing, I don't think I've missed a day in 20 years where I always meditate, journal, and I'm in that space. And it could be literally the walls caving in on me, and I'm not missing that space, right? Well, I was just telling you, I've got this big lawsuit against the power company and 5 years of struggle and by losing everything. And without fail, when I'm in that space, I get literally different information. I literally get
Yes.
downloaded with stuff all the time. And I'm
Yes.
writing it down going, oh, that's a good idea. Like, where the
Yes.
hell did that come from?
Yes.
I'm not thinking, I'm thinking all day. like I
Yeah.
am thinking
There's an
too.
intelligence beyond thinking
Yes.
that is of the heart. And
Yes.
now a lot of meditations, though, Darren, are disassociative, where people are like, let me imagine I'm somewhere else at a waterfall, like take me out of my
That's
life.
true. Yeah.
So what's really powerful about this heart aligned meditation is like, boom, my power is right here, right now.
Right.
Like bring me right here into this moment in my full intelligence.
So if you were to find now, like through this book and what you've gone through and writing it and looking at the science, I'm just so curious, like how would you now, and you can define it
Yeah.
esoterically, you can define it scientifically, how do you now look at the heart? How do you describe it?
Well, let me say this too,
Yeah.
Darren. As I mentioned, I've written 8 books over 11 years. I've been a pretty obsessive researcher, seeker. I started off my journey backpacking for 3 years around the world after college, just trying to find. So that's what the propelled heart, by the way, is. I spent a lot of my life in this. So that's where you're propelled into action to seek truth. So most of our society is between the dark heart and the propelled heart. Propelled heart is lots of action. I want to define my self-worth by my achievements, how I look, what I post on social media, what my body looks like, how much money I have. And so there's nothing wrong with these things, but it's this outer orientation instead of when we get to stage 3, which is the steady heart, we start to find this real anchor in ourselves, and then it goes deeper and deeper. So when I came across
So
this,
that's one of the hearts, the propelled.
yeah, it's number 2. It's where
Wow.
most society is.
So wild.
It's propelled into action. So that's why there's so much, biohacking, self-help programs, entrepreneur programs. I want to do this. I want to be seen for this. It's this external orientation. So here's the crazy part, and I'll go back to my story in a minute.
Yeah.
As you transcend the heart stages, so then you get to, let's say, stage 4, which is the devoted heart. You're more devoted to the inner world, to unconditional love, to peace, to real connection, to these incredible qualities. So you have a different framework for success. But at the same time, Darren, you're so coherent and clear that you actually create more easily what you want on a material level. So it tends to be that you are more abundant, you are more successful, your emotional intelligence is so high, you're able to run your business better, you communicate better with your customers, with your colleagues, so your success actually grows. Whereas our society is like chase, overthinking, again, a lot between dark and propelled. So what I'm so passionate about sharing about this, and there's a way to train your intuition. So I'm teaching a master class on intuition with this science for Entrepreneur Magazine, because when we learn to tap into these really unique solutions, ways in which we can see things, which will only really come from the heart and the heart brain working together, you're going to get an edge. And so when I came across this work, Darren, I was like, whoa, I've been focusing on nutrition for 15 years. I've been meditating. I've been doing yoga. I've done retreats. I've traveled all around the world. I exercise. I've been plant-based, like all these different things. But the heart work, boom, I'm not kidding, Darren, quantum leap. So I was taking the heart math research. I was doing these specific practices. And I was combining Yogananda teachings as well, and Swami Sri Teshwar, which I do in the book. I would quantify my energy went up 70%. And it was already really high. And why I say that is because we don't realize how much energy we waste in the overthinking, cleaning up the mess, ruminating. This all depletes our energy. And I want to show you this chart. It depletes our hormones. So if you can see this, and I don't know if you guys can see this, or it's in the book on page 77. This showed that in 1 month of doing these practices, you don't need outside equipment, you don't need to buy a pill for this, cortisol went down 23%. and DHEA went up 100%. This is bananas.
And what did they do for that one?
So these are the practices that are incorporated in the Heart Align Harmonize method, in the Heart Align meditation, where you're creating more coherence. So more coherence means more resilience
And
against
these
stress.
are short little practices. It's not
So
like
the
you're
meditation is under 8 minutes,
Yeah.
and the Heart Align, the steady one is Steady in Life. These are under 1 minute, Darren. But this is where the psychological becomes the physiological. You're changing the way in which your heart and your brain communicate in your nervous system, so you don't go into sympathetic nervous overdrive. You change your hormones. So DHEA, why do we care? It's vitality. It's fertility. It's necessary. We look how many people have fertility issues today, how many people are stressed out. So this is actually measured in science. So I would say my energy went up 70%, and I already thought I was in a good place, Darren.
Right.
And I would say my relationship with my husband got like 90% better, because there was all this love and connection, but in daily life, there's irritation, right? There's friction. There's like, oh, like, why did you say that? Or why did you say it this way? Or I feel
You
like
got
you're
kids and
yeah. So it was like this heart work just like it just created this expansion, this deepening connection, and heart intelligence is the basis of emotional intelligence. So it was like, one of the scientists describes it almost like Jason Bourne abilities. And I'm not kidding. It's like, I really get what you're saying to my husband. Whereas before, I'd be so wrapped up in my own narrative or story, my wounds. That's the other thing. A lot of talk therapy is just sort of reinforcing these neural patterns. So this person, this happens, goes off in my amygdala, I react, I say this. But versus when we break that pattern with the heart, since there's 40,000 neurons in the heart, Darren, neuroplasticity doesn't just apply to the brain, it applies to the connections between your heart and your brain. So suddenly you break patterns. I've had abandonment trauma and triggers since I was a girl, since I was a tiny child. So over, 30 years, like decades of, whoa, I see different. I can communicate my needs. So less stories, less drama, just presence.
Yeah, because one can argue if you're not healed, you're just running around trying to find
You're projecting.
your nervous system trigger to support your nervous system getting all freaked out, right? So if you heal all of that, you're projecting something different. You're projecting something healing. You're projecting a different coherence. You're literally, it's so funny. I don't know how detailed I could get with this, but I was because I've been, it's weird because I haven't dated in my life, but I kind of been dating, but I also just energetically don't want to get into it.
You think you haven't found the right person?
Yeah, so I just like, you see certain patterns.
Yeah.
And then I was just like,
you can sense it.
And I can sense I was getting a little like, it was turning into a job of like meet up with this person, connect with this person, go on and I was just like, oh my God, like, and so I literally went in and I just did a meditation on where my nervous system was going with this whole thing. I don't know if I can make sense out of this because I haven't thought about it, but I just shifted a few things inside of myself. And I could feel like this whole thing just kind of fall away.
The relationship or the dating.
Yeah, just like my orientation with it was.
Yeah.
It didn't feel. It was.
Well, it sounds not useful.
It wasn't. It turned into a job.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like, it wasn't. I'm like, I don't.
Well, let me ask you something, Darren. So what you're very intuitive, by the way. So this is the torus field given off by the heart. So again, this is the magnetic field that has been measured by these magnetometers. So it's 100 times stronger than the brain, right? So when we're in coherence, energy doesn't lie. We can say, I want a partner, I want healthy love. But when you're in coherence, you tend to attract that other type of energy. And if someone's incoherent, it either matches up. Sometimes you see those like matching trauma relationships, like, girl was abused by her father, she picked someone like her father, whatever it is. Or you can just kind of feel repelled by someone, right?
Totally.
So as you get more coherent, and I'm excited for you to do some of these practices, Darren, because you're already like next level. It shouldn't feel like a job. And
Right.
when I met my husband, I was in this work for like, I don't know, I kind of told you about this in my last podcast. I go in these periods, 5 or 8 months. I kind of locked myself in my house. This is after my mom passed away and I went through a breakup. So I was just going into scripture and meditating a lot. And I was like, no expectations, just me and my presence. And I met John at a random dinner party, right? Without this efforting. And it was just like everything on the outside was like, no, 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 your grill, your gross tattoos. Like some of them just feel like so immature. I was like, are you 12 years old? Oh, the judgment of the mind. But Darren, like, boom, the heart
Right.
fields. I was like, there's something about this guy.
Guy.
So the values lined up, right? So I'm saying as you start to really awaken and crack open, even there's more and more layers.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I feel like this easefulness in finding the partner and also tuning out, which is a waste and depleting of your
Totally.
energy, just becomes more clear.
100%. It's so interesting, man. It's all energy.
It's everything is energy.
It's crazy how powerful that is. And
So thoughts are energy too, by
Yeah,
the way. And
yeah.
so a lot of these depleting thoughts, that's why the cortisol goes down. It just creates this dissonance in your field, in your body, in your organs. In here, there's also a research study that showed that 5 minutes of anger decreased your IgA, a biomarker for inflammation, for 6 hours. 2 minutes of irritation set into motion 1,500 different biochemical processes, which ultimately deplete your energy. So this is how important it is to be aware of what we're feeling, having tools to stay more coherent, to
Right.
protect our physical bodies, our hormones, our immunity, but also to feel more fulfilled, loving. And oh my gosh, when we talk about some of these levels, I thought I knew how to love, Darren. There's levels, just pure, non-specific,
Yeah.
unconditional love,
Yeah, man.
connection.
Yeah, man.
We can all tap into it.
We all can. I have you'll appreciate this. I don't know if anyone listening will, but I had this moment just walking on my property and I was just feeling, I don't know, normal. And I just kind of started intending, feeling connected to my soul and my, and,
Beautiful.
and it was just an intention. And I was walking with my dogs. Next thing I know, I'm looking at this tree. And I'm like, holy shit, I am that tree.
Yes.
Like, and not just not a
Non-duality.
concept. Like it was flipping back and forth. Like I'm the tree. I'm there. Like, and then the next, then the rock, and then the dogs, and then whoever I thought of. It was, and it's been happening for the last kind of few hours or a few days, kind of like that. And I like it because it's not psychedelically induced.
Yeah.
It's through intention, and it just reminds me, not that that needs to be any esoteric anything for anyone, but it's literal that we all are all energy, and we're literal just star material. We're all made of the same stuff.
Yeah.
We're all vibrating. We're all magnetic. We're all frequencies. It's just a mishmash
Yeah.
of all of this stuff. And I think the thing I think of too when you bring that up, it's like if we let the bees out of the hive and we get angry, I love that you looked at the real physical nature of that. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's so dangerous and detrimental to our physical body, and yet people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars biohacking, trying to get their testosterone or their endocrine system
Oh my
aligned, and
gosh.
we're just and there's
Yeah.
so much we can do.
So there's these incredible feelings and experiences, right? And no, you can't just buy your way into them. Like I said, I've worked with so many really successful people that have all the money, they have the looks, and they feel really empty. So this oneness that you're experiencing, there's a quote by Lao Tzu in the Clear Heart chapter where he says, if you want to know me, look inside your own heart. But to actually experience that, if someone's listening to this and they're like, well, I don't feel that. Like, I just feel like my life is so heavy or whatever. Again, these teachings and these evidence-based tools it's like there's a science to this. It's not like, oh, esoteric or whatever. You really can start to sync up,
Yeah.
and then you experience that for yourself. And what happens is the propelled heart, like we were talking about, Darren, which reflects most of society, it's based on labels. I'm this, you're that, right, wrong. What does that lead to? Judgment, comparison. So it constricts this oneness field and it keeps us small. It produces small thoughts. What's amazing as we transcend into the clear heart, this is the field of miracles. And I mean in terms of incredible synchronicities where, and I described this when I was in a, clear heart moment and stage when I was just feeling really, I don't know, it's just transcendent, connected. Deepak Chopra had just reviewed my third book, and I just was in this different state. Walking down the street, Darren, in New York City, and I decided to go down a different avenue. And then, boom, I ran into Deepak on the street. You can't plan for this stuff. And I said, Deepak, it's Kimberly. You just reviewed the Beauty Detox Power. Thank you. And then we connected. It was like all the layers to get to Deepak. He gave me his cell phone. We met at a cafe, Darren, and in 6 hours, we decided to write a book together called Radical Beauty. We laid out the 6 pillars. Boom, field of synchronicity. So the mind can't even conceive of this stuff. So if you're like, how does all, these people must have amazing contacts. How do they create that success? Totally. When you work on your inner field and you do these practices, do your heart-aligned meditation for 8 minutes. Watch your life change. When I started bringing this to clients, I've been working with some people for over 10 years, couldn't get past certain food cravings, couldn't drop that weight, just always angry, always feeling stressed. The quantum leaps that I've seen, not just in myself, and I'm not saying this lightly or like bullshit, but really seeing, oh my gosh, this heart's power is something else.
Yeah.
And we can just turn it on. We can just learn and deepen into it over time and turn to it and build our emotional intelligence and build our hormonal balance. And again, it's measured by science.
Right. Well, and that's and that's the thing. It's like a superpower that we have in our society have not
dimmed
taught
down.
us.
Yeah.
Not taught us how to do it at all. It's so funny. Like there's so much to talk about here, and I just got asked to speak at my high school reunion.
Wow. Where's your high school?
In Waseca, Minnesota. Like there'll be like 100 people, right?
I love it.
35 years. And I read the clip of their kind of ad, right? And it was like the most famous of our class and blah, blah. And it was such a strange moment. Not that was, but there was no way at 18 I would have predicted any of this stuff. And there's no way I had a dream to do books and to do shows and to do... My point is, for whatever reason, I have learned, and I want to continue to learn, because I think through trauma and change and a lot of shit, there's opportunity to get past certain things. And I think the practice of following the heart has been something that I've really tried to,
Yes.
without knowing.
Without knowing it, you're
without
doing
knowing it, right? I found maybe stumbled along the way here and there, but I found a way to go, I've never sought a job. I sought a compelling need to do something that felt like felt right, felt good, felt like I wanted to contribute to something. And everything from a label of a superfood hunter, which I didn't give myself, was that was an innocent path of just like
First of all, that label is amazing.
Yeah,
Can we just
yeah.
acknowledge how amazing?
Yeah,
Like this big, burly, muscular guy is not hunting animals, is of the heart, doesn't want anything to die so he can live.
Right.
He's finding these medicinal foods.
Yeah, botanicals that
around the world.
Largely have the nutrients that have bioaccumulated in meat anyway, so why would you need to kill anything? So it innocently happened, and the next thing you know, like the travel, and just I'll make this quick, but the travel exposed me to the world in a massively different way, from water issues around the world to food issues around the world to waste issues around the world to shelter issues around the world to children dying, like all this stuff, to like I'm in the middle of Africa now. I had mangoes with Barack Obama's grandmother, right? In the middle of Kenya, us with water initiatives trying to get kids. So all of that to say, and next thing I know, I wrote down an idea of a show that I wanted to compel people to see more of the world and know that we have issues, but we have solutions and great people. And that was
Beautiful.
down to earth. And that's how that happened. So the point, and I fumble some of the time too, a lot, and I fail, and I've had challenges, but and I'm just, for the audience here, by the time you're listening to this, the book's out.
Yeah.
I'm just getting this book, and that's why I'm so jazzed to have this conversation. I'm so excited to read this book because I feel like I've stumbled, but also have acknowledged, but you have put now in a succinct way both science and ancient
Oh, yeah.
Veda, right? So Veda is very, you could argue it's 20,000, 30, 40,000. You could argue that,
These
right?
are the oldest texts in the
Yeah,
world.
you could argue that. Um, and that's the interesting thing about science is science never really leads, it follows, it supports. So,
Exactly. So listen to this, Darren.
yeah.
First of all, I want to reflect back some observations I have of you in your life, if that's okay, based on your beautiful story. I also want to say that I put the science in the book, not because it's the most important or it's the primary thing, because I wanted this book and these teachings to reach people
Yeah.
that aren't, just caring about energy or spirituality, but to see, for the discerning mind, to see this really works.
Yeah.
Your life works when your heart is leading the way. Now, a fallacy is that the heart is these erratic emotions. People say, "Oh, I followed my heart and it left me, the wrong way." Heart doesn't mean jealousy, chaos, like infatuation and crazy love. Those are of the ego.
Right.
The heart is calm and like infinitely expansive. So you describe for 20 years, you've been meditating, you have this stillness practice. So you were tapping into this calmness of the heart without even maybe using that vocabulary or that language. And then this natural compassion in you as a very heart-based person. So you were making decisions from this heart. I want to help. I want to bring this out. So of course there's a different vibration in your projects, in your show being created, which cut through probably hundreds, thousands of other shows trying to be made because you were bringing that heart energy in. So while society tells us, hurry up or, do it this way, work harder, it's like, hitting your head against a wall almost. What I want to say about this heart work is it's non-linear. Like you can make quantum leaps when you learn to tap into that incredible heart of yours.
Right.
And in the Clear Heart, I tell this story about Hanuman. Do you know Hanuman? It's in the Ramayana
course.
story in the Mahabharata. So basically, I'll sum it up here. But this
Hanuman is, just for people listening,
strength.
from my experience, is like, from a religious perspective, when people say the Holy Ghost, like that's what I think Hanuman is in the Hindus. Like it moves, it's powerful energy moves, and when you feel the Holy Spirit, that's what I kind of. But that was
in
my.
in a way, we
That's
could say like Shiva Shakti is like kind
Yeah.
of that natural
Right.
spanda as well. But Hanuman, and I won't tell the whole story, but basically it's this amazing story. So how we've all watched like The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
In India, you watch the Ramayana. So basically, Sita and Ram, it's a long story, I'll summarize it very quickly. They got banished to the forest, or Rama went, he was meant to be king, but another queen wanted her son to be king, his brother. So he went with his younger brother, Lakshman. So they were in the forest for 13 years, learning all these lessons, finding rishis. They met this monkey who was talking right when they came into the forest. And so who knows, in some dimensions in the past, maybe there were talking animals, we don't know, or maybe it's an allegory.
Yeah.
But Hanuman said he could feel the light of Rama as soon as he connected to him. He said, I just want to serve you. I just want to be with you. So anyways, long story short, demon Ravana came at one stage when Lakshman and and Rama were off, and he was jealous. He captured his beautiful wife, Sita. She dropped her bracelet as a kind of message, like in this direction. So Hanuman said, oh gosh, she's in Lanka, modern day Sri Lanka. I have to save her because Rama's so far away. So he scampers to this demon's lair, this castle. I think of Star Wars with all the stormtroopers and the guards. And he freezes. He says, what am I going to do? I'm a monkey. This moment, Darren, the Hanuman Chalisa, this 108 chant verse, which I listen to every day. They say in India, it brings this vibration of remember who you are. King of the wind. His father started singing this to him, remember who you are. So Hanuman gets this divine inspiration, lights his tail on fire, runs around with his monkey tail, lights it into chaos and clouds and storms, and just the smoke. They can't see anything. Gets Sita, rescues her. Okay, so here's the end of the story. They get back, and Rama's like, oh my God, you saved my wife. Bring me into, let's go back. Let's just, So they go back after 13 years, and there's this big ceremony to welcome Rama as the king and to give him a medal to Hanuman, which is an emerald ring. In front of everybody, Darren, he bites the ring. Everybody's like, what's going on? Don't you like your ring? So this is the pivotal part of the story. He takes his little monkey claws and he opens up his chest. And in his heart, it says in Sanskrit, Ram, Ram, Ram. So what's the message here? It's not in his head, in his heart. He's saying, I don't need a medal. I don't need recognition. I'm just doing what I'm meant to do. And so there's this quote in the Clear Heart where it says in the Western, hero stories, it's usually like, I awaken, I have the power, I realize how strong I am, at the end of the like Rambo movies or whatever. It's like, I doubted myself in Rocky movies. I have it. But actually, there's another level, which is there's a power moving through me. And so that's what Hanuman embodies. There's something that we're all much beyond the ego, this humility, the humble heart starts to most powerful stage. You become more humble. See, it's not my power. It's a product of this field that I've stepped into. It's a non-specific field. So there's something actually moving through me and I don't need recognition for it. But in the same time, it makes me incredibly powerful and successful in all my endeavors. It's a very different place than coming at it from the egoic place.
I mean, that is the most perfect story. If one of my questions later, and you can answer it now, is like, what is required to have a super life? And you just described it, like, because it is the hidden delusion that it's not that, or that it's all these other things, but the immense power of the heart. And one could argue that's Christ's real message. It's like it's
I'm getting goosebumps. So
it's you. It's
it.
It is me.
The second coming of Christ is you
Yeah.
awakening into this
Yes.
Christ consciousness, into this
Yes.
unconditional love, this flaming heart. I grew up next to my bed with my auntie from the Philippines, was this image of I have it on my altar now, this flaming heart of Jesus Christ. This Hanuman rips open his chest. We're not talking about the mind. We're not talking about how smart we are, like all this, stuff that can get really heady. It's in the heart. It's here, Darren. And so the other part about living a super life is that it's us that blocks ourselves. It's us when we get into our mind. So to me, it's awakening your heart more and more. So there's layers and levels to this, right? So the 5 hearts, it goes into that clear heart. So it's like we catch it in moments, like you're looking to your dog's eyes or your child's eyes. So it's not like unreachable. There's moments where we are out of time and space, but how do we spend more of our life transcending into out of dark heart, out of propelled, into more steadiness, into more devotional, the qualities, the heart-based qualities, more peace, peaceful life. It's invaluable. And then more success comes, more abundance comes. So my subtitle here, Darren, empower your thoughts, right? Because we're going to a different place. The perceptions, when you go into your heart, it changes your perceptions and your thoughts, balance your emotions. So you learn to digest the anger and understand more from the heart, and using these science-backed heart-aligned tools, unlock vibrant health and abundance. For those of us on this health journey, you can eat perfectly, but you can have these thoughts which keep you from actually experiencing true gut health or true vitality and this abundance in your relationships, in your love, and how you feel. That's the gift that I want everyone to give themselves. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like full circle. We're going back to like, I'm feeling my heart as you're saying, and there's so much power. And we talk about power,
I
but
feel a different energy since we've continued this conversation, right?
Yeah. No, it's even, and I'm not even joking. Like, even having this conversation, is
Wake
it's
you
like
up.
it's like
gotta
I've got
rise
I've got
up.
butterflies in my heart. Like, I've got butterflies in my stomach. I've got a feeling in my heart that is just that almost spontaneously I've felt that feeling a million times, but like fluttered, right? At
Yeah.
moments, and like those moments where I made hard decisions, but I knew I was going on a feeling. Every time I left Minnesota, I left Colorado, I went and pursued something that in the face of it, people didn't understand what the hell I was doing, right? And I knew that those moments were the moments I was choosing the heart over the matter of anything else that maybe didn't make sense to anyone else. And if that is a gift that I could give people, that's the gift I would want to have people practice. And
Oh,
it sounds like this book is riddled with the ability to tap back into it, because listen, we need it.
yeah.
Just like I talk about the fatal conveniences of stuff that is poisoning us, it is the stuff of our mind thinking all of these other pursuits are the truth. But if we add up all of the people that have had success and have had billions, millions, billions and successes, and every time those people either, if they don't meet the place, they meet the place in a very destructive way. If they meet that place and like, listen, I went and I pursued all these things and I was not happy.
Yeah.
We know this. We know that the pursuit of the thing that we keep pursuing is not the pursuit that will give
But
us
then people don't know what to do.
Exactly.
So here's the thing, Darren, those
Right.
moments that you described, like I followed my heart, I did this. The problem is we haven't been given the tools to systemize this. So
Right.
it's like I had a flash of intuition or inspiration, or I had a flash of such deep love. When you do these practices and the hidden power of the five hearts, what happens is that you are able to not just tap into intuition randomly, you start to develop it more and more. You start to feel that unconditional love more and more.
Right.
There really is science and teachings that support this unlocking more and more. It's not random. It's something you do. And I cannot wait as you get into this, Darren, what's going to happen with your huge heart and how it's just going to unlock that power. Can I just read the last line of the book?
Oh my God, yeah.
Because this is where, okay, so this is the last paragraph, okay?
Yep.
Your heart holds the key to your great, talking to you and I'm talking to you. Your heart holds the key to your greatest power, your power to bring love and compassion and care into the world. Your heart can transform you on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And then it can radiate out and transform the world around you and beyond. The intention of this book is to help you awaken to your own true power. Please use it. The world needs your awakened heart. So the section, so to bookend the whole book, there's the first chapter, there's a part that's called A New Heart-Centered Society. My intention with this book, Darren, is each of us can benefit tremendously from awakening our heart. But the heart is the only thing strong enough to overcome the ego in society. So this book is also a call to action. It's saying, don't sit back. Take this incredible gift that isn't, just from me. It's from the Vedas. It's from the science. I'm just putting it together in this succinct guide. Please use it. Change your life and do your part to change the world. Because we all do. And the more hearts that awaken, Darren, the world around, your families, the circles, the people you work with, people you interact with at the coffee shop, everything has an energy field, and we can together. And we know what it's like when most of the world is in the dark heart or the propelled heart. What if more people came into the devoted heart?
Yeah, literally change.
So let's feel that.
And we know it happens when like there's a tragedy or something and people come together in groups or whatever and people shift into that. I think that glimpses part of that power, and all of the other ideas and concepts fall away for a period of time, and we glimpse it, and society,
And then we come back into
and then we
patterns.
come back, and then we go back to the patterns
Until we don't.
Yeah. And to your point, it that journey from the head to the heart has been duped as a long road, right? But it isn't a long road. It's just a practice of a different.
So it's nonlinear. Everybody's heart's going to be different, and there's going to be quantum leaps. And then, as I describe this in the Five Hearts chapter, which explains the heart journey, sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm kind of like stuck in this one part while your heart is shedding more of what it is not. And so then there's these crazy leaps you'll take. And so it's a beautiful journey. I say not to rush it, but I will say by having access to these teachings and these tools, you're going to really awaken your heart, and you will keep awakening it. And it's amazing. And it's, we talked about purpose, I think, before we even started recording. To me, Darren, if there's one message after all these books and all the things I've done and all the people I've worked with, all the things I've put out to the world, this ties it all together. This power of the heart, you'll take care of your body will be healthier, you'll intuitively eat better, you'll have deeper relationships, your lifestyle, you'll connect more with nature. All the things happen through the power of your heart.
Yeah, and it's in the way you did it, I really appreciate it because it's very grounded. And you feel differently. Like you yourself, there's a power from you that's different than the other time that I met you. And there's an integration that is clearly in this field
Thank
now
you.
that I can feel, and you're already affecting me. And also reminding me, because that's the thing. Everybody has had it.
Yeah.
Everyone has a heart. Everyone
Yes.
has had moments. So just listening to this podcast, you can start to recapitulate the times that you're truly happy, the times that you took a chance to go after something that you cared about, that you loved, that you like. So we have it. It's just that whatever the interesting matrix setup is here, and the thing that we were born into, because I think of things very deeply in a lot of ways. I'm like, wow, this is life. And the way it's set up is not how I would choose to create life as society, right?
It's playing out, right?
Yeah,
It's like the isness of everything. That's, again, when we go beyond judgment, all we can say is, let me show up in my heart.
Totally.
Let me, and also I'll say this, Darren, no matter how dark you may feel in your life right now or completely disconnected from your heart is always there. You can start to rekindle that energy. Right. So we can't live without a heart. You can live without a brain. You can be in a coma. You can be in a brain dead state. But if your heart turns off, you're not really living. Yeah. But a lot of people walk around the world almost like zombies because they're not really emotionally, energetically, spiritually connected to their hearts. Right. And so we want to awaken the hearts. This is going to change everything. And again, 100%. You can always do it no matter how disconnected you currently feel.
Man, I like that. So the obvious number one for people living a super life is to connect with their heart, read this book. And what do you... I don't even know how to answer the question of like, what are other things people could do to live their super life? Or what do you think are the big things that people it's keeping them from
Well, I think we've talked about that all along,
Yeah.
but I will
Yeah.
say this, Darren, because this podcast is coming out actually a few days shy of the publication of the book, which is September 17th. So you can still enter my 4-week heart reset immersion. So I've never offered something of this caliber where just by pre-ordering the book, you will get 4 weeks where I will take you on that deep dive, just like we did that 4-week study. We're going to have live Zooms, community interaction, accountability, emails, videos. So I can really teach you, the health, the stress resilience, the relationship piece, the anchoring in yourself over 4 weeks. So you can check that out at mysolluna.com/5heartsbook, Darren. And that's, once in a lifetime, I can honestly say, because once, the book goes on sale, we'll just offer it to those people that were in it. But it's all in here.
Yeah.
This is what you can do. There's
This is
preliminary
this is a
practices.
lifetime's work for you.
I mean,
It really has been.
there's a lot in this little book, and I just feel like it's going to tie so much together for, I hope so many people, or it's not outside of them. It was actually inside of them that they needed to create that coherence, that connection, that power,
Yeah.
connection to the power that's already there.
Yeah, I love the tying together of the science and that connection of people going, oh wow, this is going to help my hormones. This is going to help my digestion. I was
Yeah.
just doing research yesterday, finding some really good research and researchers doing microbiome studies on stress, and oh my God, it affects your digestive system. So the microbiome is not just a flippant thing. It is literally the conversion mechanism of the food you ate into your body.
Yeah.
So when you're stressed and it's being thwarted and changed and unable to do its job in the most effective way, and people are out of tune to whatever even is causing them stress, you're changing biology and chemistry and everything else. So these kinds of things are powerful too.
Well, let me say something, Darren. Like you said, this is how most people think about stress. This is what causes me stress.
Yeah.
Nothing causes us stress except for our own thoughts. The traffic is there. It's the way we think about it, right? So in the propelled heart, that heart aligned harmonize practice under 1 minute means you flow, you pivot, you avoid stress from your heart's intelligence by staying coherent and just pivoting in that moment instead of the thoughts, the resistance. Resistance is getting upset. The resistance is, this sucks. Resistance is complaining. That all leads to stress response. So what's so powerful about this as well, and the research in here, is you actually bypass the stress response. And that is also one of the superpowers of the heart.
Come on.
Yeah.
Loaded.
Can't wait for you to read this. Come
Oh
on.
my God,
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Superpower, superfood, super everything. I love it. Thank
Super
you.
friends.
Super friends.
Yeah.
Kimberly, you're the best. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
sharing
Darren.
your life's work and your heart with the world and your passion to do that. And I'm grateful. I know people are grateful, and you've taken something that is often almost flippantly said, and you've pulled it into an actionable, powerful state that people can cultivate. So I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your big heart, Darren, and I'm just grateful, and I really see you. And I saw you the second I saw you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.